In this video, I'll show you how to use type filters within Power Pages Liquid. Now, type filters are basically used to convert the values from one data type to another. You have limited options available if you use the type filter. So you can do some conversion between Boolean, decimal, integer, and string. Now, why it is useful is because sometimes you get information from, say, Power Automate or some other systems which you interface, or maybe a user input uh, from the forms. You get that input in the form of a string. Now, if you want to convert that into different format, like say, if user type in, say the value or the cost in say string, say user types in 27.51 and 27.51 is a string, then you can convert that into an integer or a decimal. Also, if the user just types in true, or you just type in yes or no or enabled or disabled, you can convert that corresponding value into a boolean. So I'll show you all these examples in the demo. So let me go back to the screen. Okay, so this is the Power Pages site. So I have created a page named as December. Now it does not have anything in it just except for the word XX. I'll go into the edit code over here, and then from here I can start writing the liquid. This is how the output will look like. So first thing, I need to show you how to do that conversion, right? So from a conversion side, say if I just type in this value, okay, so if I just type in true, this is keyword true, right? So it is just a true value. Now if I just type in this is a string representation of true, right? Now true, so this is like a string representation, true. Now I can even just type in enabled, okay, or maybe I'll just type in yes. So I'm just giving you just simple example. These are all strings, right? Yes, enabled, true, true, and I'll put a break line so that the output appears in a separate line. And I'll put an example of false as well. Right. So these are the different examples. So let's do a dry run. So as you see over here, it has written true, false, true, enabled, and yes. So true, false, true, enabled, and yes. So it has treated everything as a string, right? But technically, this is not a string, true and false. These are like kind of a Boolean value, right? Now, how do we understand that whether it's a Boolean value or not? There's no way from an interface you will come to know that whether it's a true or false. You just need to use it within the if condition and then see whether that particular value is treated as true or false. But for the sake of this example, I've just given you different representation. Now if you want to convert that into a boolean, then what you can do, you can put a pipe and then just type in boolean. So just copy this, a pipe and boolean, a pipe and a boolean, a pipe and a boolean, and a pipe and a boolean. So let me put this single quotes over here. So let's see what output does the system spits now. Okay, now we are converting all this say string and not a string value into boolean. uh, so just save this, synchronize. Now in the previous example, it was giving me output as true, false, true, enabled, and yes, because that is just showing me the equivalent string representation. Now after adding those filters, Now as you see, this two values has changed, right? Now why it has changed? Because it has identified itself as, as a part of that Boolean data type. Now if you put this values like enabled, it will give you as true. If it is put as a disabled, it will give you as false. No will be treated as false, yes will be treated as true. So this is how you can use the conversion to convert from a string representation to Boolean. Similarly, we have other data types. So I have this number. So I have this number 100. I can convert this number into decimal. Okay. Now this is one example. Now I'll just copy this example. Now 100 I can convert into decimal, or I can convert this into integer as well, right? Now I'll give you different example. Okay, so first we'll go for decimal. So I'll just copy various decimal things. So I have this 100 which is in decimal. I have this 100 and 100.567 in decimal. Then I have this 100 as a string in decimal. Then I have 100 dot 8668 in decimal, and I can just, just keep this value. So let me put the value as 0.8987, and I can use this value. So just save this. And if you want to get into the documentation, I'll just show you where to find the documentation from the Microsoft Power Pages site. So if you go to Power Pages Liquid, in this Liquid tutorial, you will find all the Liquid details. So if you want to see how to write a Power Pages Liquid, so you go to Liquid Overview, and then you can see liquid operators, liquid types, conditional operator, understand liquid filters. So if you go to liquid filters, from here you can see the type filters, and then from here you can see the various types which you can utilize. Okay, so like this you can extract the value. Now if you see this example, there is a string, you are converting into decimal, and if the string does not contain any value, then you have an option to put a default value as well. So you can use that default keyword as well and then make it some value, right? Similarly, you can see over here, you can put that default value. So in our example, as you see over here, we have now made that changes. 100 decimal, 100.567 decimal, 100 as a string to decimal, 100.8668 string to decimal, and then 0.8987 in decimal. So these values you can see in the runtime as well. So as you see over here, in the display, you can see the value 100.567. So let's see 100.567, then 100.8668, and 0.8987. So it has converted that into a specific decimal equivalent. Similarly, you have other options. You can convert the value into integer as well. Now for decimal, we know decimal comes with a decimal point, but if I take the same example, I'll just copy this, and instead of decimal, I will just say integer, and just to segregate this information, I put a HR tag. Just close this HR tag. Yep. And I'll do a quick synchronization. So what we are doing, we are now using, instead of a decimal filter, I'm using an integer filter. So as you see over here, instead of 100, it has written 100, so that's fine. Now we have 100.567. It has converted that. It has basically done a rounded value and given us 101. And for 100, it is just 100. And for 0.8987, it has given me the value as 1. However, for 100.866, it hasn't given any value. So let's see what's happening over here. So it's 100.8668. It is not giving us any output for this. For 100.567, it has given me that value. So let's see, and another thing, let me just reduce the decimal point over here. So I just say 100.88 and see whether it gives me any output or not. So what we have seen that this has rounded. So 100.567 has been rounded to 101 and the output is 14.8987. Other thing what you can do is you can convert the value into a string. So if I just say 100.57, you can even use the string filter. Now from an output perspective, you'll not be able to see the any visual difference, but this is very handy if you want to convert some value from a number or an integer or decimal value to a string value, so that you can display that in your application as a text field, or you append that to a string, or you pass into a parameter, or you pass that as a part of the URL. So this is how you basically utilize all the parameters, filter parameters like boolean, decimal, integer, string, to convert from one form to another. Now, mostly this is used for Boolean value, because if you get a string value, you can directly do that one is to one comparison. And once you do that one is to one comparison, you just say like, oh, if this value is enabled, or if search is enabled, then do this. If filter is enabled, then do this. So this will be helpful in such scenarios. So this is how you basically use the filters. Thanks for watching.